we wanted to combine writers with visual artists, or musicians with visual artists, whatever it was. So we called it Art Fusion. So we would incorporate, whether it's visual art with the writers. The turnout, as you can see, where the art, where every square writing piece is, you are going to see an art piece shortly. So they are going to be brought out one at a time in alphabetical order of the writers, and then they will be unveiled. So you will hear the writer talking about what they intended it to be, and then you'll be seeing the visual by the artist. So a lot of artists here are from all throughout the region, which makes it wonderful, and so are the writers. So we're really pleased that it turned out so well. We're hoping you tell us, this is great, do it again next year, because it is something that is a good thing to do. And there's different methods. This time, we had the artist submit a sample of their artwork, then the writer submitted a writing. So we just wanted to get a feel for what artists were doing. So is it just watercolors and mixed medias and oils, pastels, whatever. So we'd have a good feel for what art would be represented. So nobody was screened. It was just to know what the interest was and what we could be anticipating. The art you will see tonight is just over the top. The writings were so inspiring that one that I selected, I did 3 different things based on it. I was cranking out of that studio. I was having so much fun. So when I talked to some other artists, and Andrea, and who else was here that I was talking to? April. We were just so inspired about the writings. Jackie has art in it also. And Marcus, and the writings he did. So you're going to meet these local writers who are very, very talented. So other ways we can do it is the writer submits first, and the artist submits a painting, and the writer picks what they want to write to. So lots of different things we can do. So stay tuned, that hopefully we can do it again next year. Karen Sutherland has been our coordinator. Karen, thank you for everything. Jim Neal, who heads our board here at Corbin. Thank you, Jim, for the space. We love it. And our co-op. So we have artists with their co-op pieces in the next room. So please roam around. Everything, except maybe the tablecloths, is for sale. So, and we always like to be able to support nonprofits, right? So we never should be humble. We're selling our art. I hope you like it. Okay, next up is Karen to talk about.
Next up is Marcus.
Okay. Thank you.
So Marcus is going to do a couple readings. The first one is one of his own. It's called The Flag. And it was not chosen by an artist, but we wanted to make sure that you actually got to hear it all.
Absolutely.
Yes. How's everybody tonight?
Great.
Yeah, so I have the flag over there. That is not for sale, as I think the American flag should not be for sale. So in this time of everybody bitching and moaning, and it's going to get worse between now and November, trust me, we all know that. I'm thinking this is a poem that challenges each and every one of us to say, all right, here's what's wrong with the country. Here's how I'm going to fix it. And the reason that's important is because we are, or are we not, citizens of this democracy? All of us. Do we not have a voice to dream, to come up with an idea of the future that is not just in the hands of lawyers and people in certain seats of power? So here's a challenge. What would it look like, the flag of your heart? What cloth would you use to sew a design that made public and plain the place of your dreams? What brain, what bone, what blood would you conjure to carve, stitch the totem of your settlement? What ceremony would you perform to beckon down the wind? Come bless the flag that you've imagined flying in these breezes. Tonight, what symbols, what words, what colors would you choose to scroll that first flapping page of your nation's rising up soul? And what if suddenly the task became yours to complete, if not tonight by sundown, then tomorrow by sunrise? Thank you.
And next up is the Medford Building. Keisha.
This is an excerpt from a book that I'm still working on called 15 Roads Back. It takes place during the 1940s from the point of view of a black woman in the rural country who just purchased an old house, and she is admiring this scene that is taking place in her backyard. Over the open fields beyond the backyard, I had a front row seat to the beauty of the sunset. God flung a sheet of purple, pink, orange, and yellow and let it hang loosely across the sky. The act played behind freshly budded trees and shrubs. The vividness made me think of Billy. A sudden sadness sat within me. A month after returning home a victor from France, defeating Nazis and visiting places he wanted so badly to return one day, his sight was beaten from him. During my interview, he asked me if I could make his words sound nice and pretty. His description and excitement guided my hand. He talked about the colors green and blue like someone who had seen them for the first time. And he said, whenever someone mentioned the sky or the grass, something in his chest danced. I wrote as Billy spoke, then read back to him his thoughts in my words. I told him the colors reminded him of the time he stood atop the rolling hills of France and witnessed how green and blue lines bent and crooked their ways into disturbing the division of sky and land. And each wrinkle and curve played a part in an Elysian melody only emitted from God's own music box. He must have liked it. Tears flowed from his eyes. If only he hadn't left this reality to live in his own soon afterwards, I would have called him and described the beauty of the landscape before me. I would explain to him that the same awe can be found on a little snatch of land south of the Mason-Dixon.
This is a beautiful poem by Margaret Braddock called Opposite Feelings. I've met people who do not languish and suffer opposite emotions to feel the value of positive feelings. They delight and savor all encounters with a gracefulness of experience so that all to them is happy. Margaret Braddock.
This I did, it's an acrylic with hot blue and some gold leaf. And I have gravestones here, so it's sort of sad. And yet a little girl is swinging on the tree that is being nourished by the dead bodies, to put it. And I just thought colorful and making the best. I made lemonade. And thinking of making lemonade out of lemons when you get lemon juice, that kind of thing. And that's what when I read that, it really sparked something. And so it was a lot of fun. Okay, thank you.
By the way, come November, I am running for mayor. It's this is a work by April Reese, and I take great pride that she selected those trees. And I just want to take a minute and say I think this is a really great idea, art fusion. I just think it's a nice blending of two arts that doesn't happen that often, and it's like really, it's perfect. Yeah. Yeah, so again. All right. It's not a happy poem, but it's not a long one either. And climate change is real, y'all. And if there's any deniers of climate change around here, please come to our farm and look at the way the salt is killed over as with salt. Yes, sea level rising. You may have noticed it's happening a whole lot more these days. It's called ghost trees. So there actually is a studies being done on our fields. And the idea of ghost forests in the mid-Atlantic region is not some supposition. This has actually happened because salt kills certain trees. Certain plants like soy, it doesn't. So, you know, ghost trees. After the storm, after the one before that, after the naming and the slick TV meteorological scrambling, after the snarled howl of the liquid lash and the long, slow recession of the high water again, salt. Dirty white rings around the necks of these old home trees. Persimmon, cedar, pine scrub. Choker chains of molecular residue colored higher every year. Sodium chloride's forced marriage with bark, inscribing not a revered age of canopy, of sustenance, of bough and home, but a rage of seed that is growing nearly combustible these days by the frequency of one chemical bad year after the next, by the continuation of high decibel deafness among so-called intelligent creatures. These days the air sings ferocity, cyclone, hurricane, tsunami, high flooding on low ground, uncertainty of always on torn-top New Orleans rooftops, and as far as the eyes can see, the trees of the earth are little adorned with now sharp tattoos, everywhere flaked of crusted salt stain, yet somehow as bare as Lot's wife in evacuation.
Digital photography, and I chose Marcus's poem because the imagery that he depicts in his work, I see it every day in my backyard, looking across the creek. We have our own ghost tree forest. So I knew I had an array of subjects to pick from, and this was going to be one when I was photographing it from my little kayak. So to add to that, obviously this has been altered. I just felt the need that I had to express more feeling and drama to match Marcus's theme. So I removed the blue sky, and as soon as I saw the black sky just making the tree pop, and it looked as though it was lightning in the sky, and that sort of pointed to the storm theme also, and erosion. But, yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Okay. The next writing is by Peter Hiltz. Pete, you want to come read? No?
I'm good.
You're good.
It was a fit of creativity, which I've only had one other time in my life. And that was over a woman. So, this is not.
And I'm not going to sing it. But if you listen and read this and you sort of think of SpongeBob SquarePants, you can sing it, sing the words to that. What's coming for you and coming for me? COVID-19. Virulent, deadly, contagious it be, COVID-19. That'll kill you regardless, but you won't be missed, COVID-19. Hide if you want, but you'll look like a cis. COVID-19, COVID-19. COVID-19. We'll all be dead by June.
Wait, that's fast.
So the artwork is by Eric Long. Eric?
I'm afraid I don't know the SpongeBob. I don't know the SpongeBob tune, but you know, I was thinking about COVID-19, and what struck me was, of course, when it was there were just so many people in the hospital, so many people on ventilators. And the idea that I had was thinking of looking up at the ceiling in a hospital room and having your life flash in front of you. So these are really just pictures of my life, my childhood. I'm an identical twin, so that's, I don't know which one is which in this picture. But I spent 40 years at this home, and so there's some work-related photographs in there. Now the funny part was I needed to photograph a ceiling of like an ER or something. I went to the ER, and they said, well, you're going to have to go to the marketing department of whatever the hospital is. And I just thought, well, that doesn't sound too good, considering the amount of time that it would probably take to do this. So I had been going to physical therapy, so I went to the physical therapy office, and I just said, would you mind if I photographed your ceiling? And they were like, sure, go ahead, whatever you want to do. So this is the ceiling if you were laying down in a bed in physical therapy, and just looking up, seeing the rails, the curtains would go on and such. And then each photograph here is a different layer. So there's, I don't even know how many photographs there are. I was asked if I wanted to sell this, and I thought, I don't know who would really want to buy pictures of me. Maybe my brother, but what I suggested was, well, maybe instead of this and pictures of me, if somebody wanted to buy this, have them provide me with 40 images of their own that I would then put into place here and then create that for that individual. So, but yeah, well, COVID was really, I just remember it as really being scary, and my wife at the time was trying to get us shots, and we were like having to travel 50 miles to get a shot, and we were just lucky to get them. So as soon as I saw the song, I guess it's a song, I wish you would sing it for me, because I don't know the song, but and obviously this is not a ventilator, but this is a CPAP machine, but it's the same idea. So yeah, that's my concept.
Okay, next up is Rain, Play For Me, Keisha.
This is another excerpt from the same book. This time, the lead character is thinking about some decisions that she made in her life and how she feels that she needs to be purified. And this takes place during the beginning of a rainstorm at her house. I took a deep breath and inhaled the strong odor of rain. It lined my nostrils and throat. Full clouds rushed over the house and field. Now in position, they were ready to perform. With the waving carnelian cherry trees conducting, there was a calm drizzle first. The low simmering of a snare. Muddy puddles formed quickly and vibrated like the stretched skin of a timpani. The sound of calmness was hypnotizing. I held to the column at the steps and closed my eyes for a moment. It was the most peaceful rest I had in days. Then the concerto opened wide for the crescendo. The rain came down heavy and bulbous. Soon, I could only see through drips in the sheet of rain falling from the roof. For miles in either direction, the sky was dark gray. I wanted the rain to drench me, His coolness to wash me clean, completely clean. But did the water from the untouchable heavens have the power to cleanse such a rooted filth, such that runs so deep even the sun could not burn away? Well, I concluded, if purification was possible, it would certainly take an act of God. I took a deep breath and took pride in believing that He sent the rain just for me. I reached out my hand. The water wrapped around it and pulled me closer. Entranced, I went down the steps and was immediately enrobed in rain. It ran down my arms and legs, covering me in cool relief. Streams ran down my lips and chin before snaking their way down my dress. I stood there alone, welcoming the cleansing.
This art was done by Catherine Brother.
So I loved that piece. He goes, how many of us need to be cleansed? You know, daily basis, Lord cleanse me. I even started the day yet. And I'll talk to you later at night to see what else I have to take care of. But I love the whole feeling of her wanting to be enveloped by the rain. She talked about the cherry blossoms, so I did impressions from silk flowers to create that look. And a stencil look for a porch, like she would be walking out of the porch. And again, just I wanted to capture that movement of the rain. So it was great. So this got me so psyched I did a companion piece. And that's in the co-op room because this was the one we were putting in the show. But I just felt there was generational things too that were happening in her book. So, which we hope will now have some time to get finished and published, which would be great. So that was my impression of Keisha getting washed on the porch.
We're trying to do this by alphabetical order for the writer, but the next one they have to leave soon, so we're going to, instead of doing it later, we're going to do it now. So, Bud Scott, you want to come up and read yours?
No.
All right, so this is an entirely different kind of piece. And this is Bud Scott. Bud Scott. You're a wild man. Bud Scott.
I can tell you something about it. It was written for a contest. Required 4 words and 300 or 400 words. I forget what it was, but 4 words was stiletto, fedora, barrel, and 45. Yeah.
All right, so you kind of get the vibe of what's going to happen here. So it's kind of a film noir thing. She walked in the bar looking at her and thinking, okay, so yeah, that's an interesting conclusion. So, well, it has an interesting conclusion and thing, Francis Ford Coppola. So I've been practicing this afternoon, trying to get myself to sound like a real dangerous gun child. I'm going to try it. Relax.
Go for it.
She felt trouble from the ground of her floor down to her stiletto heels. She walked into the joint like she owned it, and anybody who questioned her thought twice after staring down the barrel of the 45. She saw the bartender going for something under the table, and she let out a round, boom, right over his head and waggled her gun at him. The blast in the small area was deafening. Her ears were still ringing when she said, "Just put your hands up on the bar where I can see them." The bartender instinctively covered his head to protect from the rain of falling mirror shards, but alas, one last tinkle of glass hit the floor. He complied. "I'm here to see Vinny," she said to nobody in particular. She looked at the bartender and waggled her gun again. He responded with a blank look. "Vincent Macaroni," she said to the room in general. "Vincent Macaroni." The bartender flinched when she said that and automatically corrected her. It's Marconi. Vinny don't like to be called Macaroni. Where is he? She said, and waggled her gun. This time very, very directly, the bartender pointing her gun at him just below the bar. Right? Bartender, go home. He said, in the back room. She kicked the door open. No small feat in a pair of stilettos, and found Vinny already had his gun drawn. She said nothing. She said nothing. She just squeezed the trigger an instant before he realized what was happening. As he lay there, watching his lifeblood stain the carpet, she bent down and said, "This is for the horse in Tom's head." She turned then on her heels and left. Later, a police investigation turned up no witnesses, and it was written off as another turf war killing, probably never to be solved.
This piece was done by Brad.
Me again? I've been in a slump lately, and I've just been having a hard time thinking about what to paint. And when I read that, I thought, cool, there's a lot going on. So I titled this Marconi, not Macaroni. And there she is, stilettos and fedora. Keith Richards over here smoking. And I guess it's sort of self-explanatory. After you read that, you can understand. Really, that just, I got it. And I had so much fun painting this. So there you have it.
Is Carlton, is he here? April's gonna read.
The poem is called Fly Away by Carlton D. Littleton Jr. How I long to take part in glorious flight, soar amongst the clouds, tomorrow's horizon in sight. Rather I sit grounded, mending broken wings, walking with regret and the sadness it brings, envious of those above the treetops, able only to watch and wish the pain stops. Bandages and stents applied and so to repair, wishing to one day be seen in the air. Until then, I walk with other broken birds who share the same wish and encouraging words. They tell me, be patient, that day will come, knowing that day will never for some. So I just endure while nursing my wounds, telling myself, my day will come soon.
Okay, the art was done by Robin Daniels.
Hi. I'm a local resident, and I'm born and raised in Chrisfield. I'm also a teacher. So what I've found through the years is I'm kind of black and white. The kids, my own kids, are kind of symbolized in the birds that are taking flight, and I'm kind of, like I said, in black and white, just waiting for, my time. So that inspired me, that poem, and I could, so thank you.
Okay, next up is Deborah Nisley. You don't have to.
My piece is called Trot Lining with Dad. Crabbing season is in full swing. I grew up in Upper Fairmount, Maryland, and one of the highlights of my childhood is going out in the water with my father to trot line for hard crabs. For Dad, it meant relaxation and solitude, a solitude I sometimes shared. As one of 4 children, it wasn't often I could be alone with my father. We loaded the trunk of the old Buick with a couple of bushel baskets, a crab net, and the boat motor, and headed for Halls Creek in the early morning. We'd be greeted by the buzz of mosquitoes around our heads and the tangy smell of low tide in the salt marshes as we sloshed through the water that had gathered in the bottom of the boat. Out on the creek, my father carefully laid out the trot line, which he had tied at intervals with stinking salted hog chokers, a small tough fish, for bait. An anchor fixed at each end of the line brought it low into the water where the blue crabs hide in the mud. Old bleach bottles used as buoys marked the line's position. The origin of the word trot line is unknown, but one guesses that it comes from to trot or to run a line. By now, the rising sun cut the water into diamonds as we circled back to the beginning of the line. Dad cut off the motor and pulled up the rope with a pulley, netting the hard crabs that were clinging to the bait and sometimes throwing one back that was too small. Afterwards, we drove home in silence, savoring the quiet before returning to the noise of family life. Mom would cook up the mess of crabs, and the day was done. The day was done.
The artist that did this piece is Christina Thompson, and I do not see her. Available. Lining the pen.
Looks at life and all that surrounds them differently. Jewelry can become flowers, found objects become wall hangings, wood, twigs, flowers, fabric, game pieces separated from their box. They represent a memory. Why not glorify a memory? Whether happy, sad, joyful, or painful, it is a memory nonetheless. Lodged in the brain, nestled in the heart. When an artist creates, they are sharing their inner thoughts, their soul, and allowing you to enter into their world.
Hey, artist is Andrea. And
So I thought of it like through the artist's window, like how they would see things. So some of the little bits are pieces of lemon bag that there's bananas. And some of the things are little pieces of jewelry made into things and a lot of found objects to make it. So a lot of reused items.
Thank you. Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you.
Sea of moments from dripping years, carried by invisible stream, carving deep into once lofty places, cascading down into a careless tide. Sea of moments, bound for a destination, yet unnamed. Enlightenment or ignorance, fulfillment or emptiness, joy or pain. Sea of moments, where it goes, God only knows, but always the soul must travel along, making transcendence sure, transformation certain. Even here, in this very mortal moment. Sea of moments, float this transient vessel into the golden path of setting sun, rolling onward to a new day dawning, where awaits the redeeming embrace of love eternal.
person wrote it.
So I wanted to capture the thought of movement and feeling. So I have the tears that are coming down, and then different things that I added. So these were busted up old necklaces and things like that, and old jewelry. And then the eternal side of that with the sun and the movement of the tears flow, and then you just go with it. So your little vessel just goes with wherever that is flowing and into more of a wherever it takes. So I kind of did an abstract look of, so where would it be going? Or where would it go to? So that's a mixed media with acrylic and also with the found items.
Morning wings. Waft of lavender, bid bees come. Tiny wings vibrate in friendly hum. Frenzied from purple goblets they sip, then on to the next in a squiggly zip. Great heron soundlessly glides, takes the breath so near it flies. Immaculate feathers tucked smooth, flying the face of Newton's truth. A pair of blue herons soar in formation, stirs desire to join them and ignites imagination. Though grounded now with doorbell ringing, still I rise with winged heart in singing. Thank you.
And the art was done by Andrea.
And there's been help from forward.
And since she had 3 stanzas, I did 3 separate little ones, and I thought, in Chrisfield, I think of the morning dew, so I made it kind of a little muted, but the bumblebee and the heron, the white heron and the blue herons together.
Got it. Okay. I believe the title is Autumn.
Yes.
Yes. Autumn. Oh, golden light on golden fields, under a sky so blue, has heaven sent its acolytes to add some heavenly hues? Your glow ignites, majestic spires, towering autumn trees, their flaming leaves, brilliant reminders of stained glass artistry.
The artist for this piece was Deborah Howard. She is not here.
Speak.
My dad and I boarded our 15-foot force MFG outboard and streaked across the Tangier Sound, using every RPM to get us into a sliver of uninhabited island by noon, peaking just above the horizon. We had planned to spend the day combing the deserted beaches in search of centuries-old pottery. Our plan was to circumnavigate the island, which meant wading through cool tidal pools and climbing over fallen loblolly pines. The only movement that broke our intense search on Watts Island for shards of broken pottery was the occasional kahunk from the glossy ibis and blue heron. These ephemeral wading birds, synchronized, gliding and booming, stopped us in our tracks. We watched as they probed their long beaks in the marsh, mud, and shallow tidal pools, scavenging mollusks and fiddler crabs. We managed to collect a dozen or so pieces of chipped wares just before noon. Some of the jagged and cracked pieces matched in color and style. As we rounded the island's southern end, ominous storm clouds, dark as ebony, rolled in. We clutched our treasures and hurriedly made our way back to our boat. The clouds, now looming large, seemed to be chasing us as we navigated towards the boat. Moving swiftly at the water's edge, we picked up our pace, kicking up sand that ricocheted our calves with each stride. Our heart raced, increased with every desperate step to outrace the storm. In the storm race, shards of pottery we collected unfolded from our pockets and hollows of our hats. In a simultaneous effort for safety, the egrets sought refuge in the dense foliage, shielding themselves from the wind and rain. But Dad and I sprinted to our boat as the skies voraciously opened with vengeance. Tree limbs lashed and waves arched and curled, seemingly outpaced our efforts for escape. And the title is Storm Chasers.
By Doug Rayfield.
Yeah.
This is Caduceus' father.
Yes.
How
Other than it's a definite depiction of our trying to outrace the storm from Watts Island back to Chrisfield. Yeah.
year ago, in May, I found out my daughter was going to have a baby, and it was Mother's Day, and I wanted to do something special for her, so I wrote her a poem and sent it to her. She said thank you. This is basically me writing what her baby would be saying to her. Okay? The title is Mommy. I may be the size of a sweet potato, and my hair may be as red as a tomato, black as a bean, or somewhere in between. But I promise you this, when I am 6, I will give you a kiss when something goes amiss. Because when I am 2, I will throw a shoe at you. And when I am 4, I will shut a door. Slam a door, sorry, I will slam a door. So just remember, when I am 6, I will give you a kiss. And if it was in my power, I would buy you flowers, but instead, I'll just give your tummy a gentle kick. As a reminder, you are my pick. Happy Mother's Day. And I signed it Baby Public because the father of the baby, what his nickname is Pug. So until we knew what her name was, we called the baby Baby Public. And Jackie?
When I read this poem, my daughter was also pregnant. And this would be 40 years old, so it's been a while. And it just reminded me of all the kids, especially when they get mad. They're going to throw things at you and call you names. But this is just a watercolor that I thought I'd do.
Next one's mine too, I'm sorry. This is an excerpt from a larger paper that I wrote about a year ago. And the title is what I think the artist really spoke with. And the title was, The Chesapeake Bay's most treasured commodity, the oyster. And the excerpt is on one specific person, and it's during the Oyster Wars. And so, here we go. During the Oyster Wars on the Chesapeake Bay, there were instances of illegal acts. The newspaper articles reported that northern states pushed their way south in large vessels, dredging in the waters of Maryland and Virginia. These northern state vessels were aggressive, even to the point of shooting those who got in their way. In addition, there were newspaper reports of Shanghai, forced slavery and brutality by the ship's captains. During the oyster season, there was a labor shortage, and with that shortage came pirates. To supply dredging captains with men, oyster pirates indulged in illegal activity. Preying on the unfortunate and drunkenness of men, pirates kidnapped or shanghaied men to work on the dredging vessels. There are many examples, but the abduction of the Navy apprentice seaman Charles Hammond from a Norfolk waterfront bar generated nationwide notoriety in 1908. Hammond was enjoying his time at a bar in Norfolk, Virginia, while on leave when he was drugged and taken aboard a dredging vessel. His uniform was replaced with civilian clothes and was forced to work for 3 months. During a stop at Baltimore Harbor, he escaped and was considered a deserter by the Navy. But the Navy found his story credible enough to apprehend the dredging vessel and its captain. And Doug Rayfield also brought this in for us. The most treasured commodity is the oyster on passion.
This is Sister Big, right? Right. Sister Big. You're around your station all the time, Bruce. She's great. Harlem Sidewalks from the Harlem Renaissance play written in 2024. When I'm walking down the street, everything in Harlem makes a beat. Clip, clop, clop, clip, at different paces. The feet of my fellow travelers make rhythmical movements. Start the music. Clip, clop, clop, clap. My homie give me a slap. Whoop, whoop, boop, beep. Homie number 2 comes rolling and asks, "What's happening, y'all?" Hypothetically, everybody knows. The sidewalks are due to squawking. Harlem is my pride. My handshake on the black side. It's loud laughing and riff-raff. My mom is sitting on front porch steps watching us play. His sister and all the older girls playing hopscotch in the crosswalk. My uncle down the block stopping for just that. My Baba wrestling with Junior and me laughing. This is ever peculiar. This Harlem I see, this Harlem I be. This is my blood. Forevermore, Harlem is me, baby. It's me.
We have Jocelyn.
So I only read this poem once because I lost it. And I couldn't, but it resonated with me because as a child I had an aunt and uncle who lived in Harlem. And every time I was going to run away from home, I told my parents I was going to Harlem. From Teaneck, New Jersey. Like I had to get on the bus at 7. But anyway, so Harlem has always been a very vibrant place for me, so the poem really spoke to me. And so this is oil. I should have done it in acrylic because it's still, well, oil takes a year to dry. But anyway, I really wanted to try and just capture the people in Harlem, and putting the people on the sidewalks was really what I remembered most. And so, I wanted to make it colorful because Harlem to me is colorful, although all the buildings pretty much kind of sort of look the same, but as a child you make things into what they are in your head. So I wanted it to be colorful. So you've got the hopscotch and the little girls playing and the mother sitting on the stoop and boy running, guy playing saxophone. There's a club, the Uncle's Club is here on the corner. Grocery store, woman cat trying to catch a cab, family here. That's my little dog, Oda Megan there. I figured she had to be there. And that's it. Thank you.
Hi everybody, thanks for coming out tonight. I've got the glasses on. My poem is inspired by Irish Grove Sanctuary. I don't know if you know where that is. It's down on Lovely Point Road, and it's a 2,300-acre sanctuary for birds and animals. And my favorite part is when you go down the road, you're in the middle of all the big pine trees, And then all of a sudden it opens up into marshland, and you see in front of you just hundreds and hundreds of acres of absolute gorgeous scenery. So this is called Marsh Seasons. Spring. Great tree frogs harmonize with Fowler's toads, wet chorus of longing. Summer. Greenheads, deer flies, mosquitoes, no-see-ums, pink splotches of chamomile. Fall. Salt marsh hay dries crisp as the wind rustles like corduroy. Winter. Cat lurks in Phragmites, the color of snow, patient as an egret.
Wow.
Hey, this was April.
I chose Pat's poem because I felt a strong connection. The little vignettes, the little snapshots in her verses, the Phragmites, and the frogs croaking, reminded me not just of the different seasons in the marsh, but of the seasons of my life, having lived on the banks of the marsh. And so I wanted to convey an expression of memories, more so than just provide a photographic image of a beautiful landscape. I selected one of the most, I thought, to me, beautiful landscapes from Exhition Island. And in the same way that Pat's words invite you into her verses, the creek invites you in to explore the marsh. And I did feel like I wanted to convey more expression, so I softened the outlines of the grasses and trees, and I overlaid a red tint so that it simulates looking through rose-colored glasses, like you would with the memory or memories. Thank you, Pat, for your inspiration.
Okay, that is it. So enjoy the refreshments that we have, and take a walk around. You can read the artwork. It's the written work is right next to it. And thank you all.